Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel for this Thursday morning, afternoon or evening across the world where you may be at. And today I want to talk about what does disability support mean, what does disability acceptance mean. It's a topic that me and my local Elvis tribute were talking about earlier this afternoon when we met up for our lunch, and I've just been sitting here writing some notes up. So what does disability acceptance mean, and to have the right people to understand you? So this is a topic I think doesn't really get discussed much and should be a forthcoming topic. I think to have the right support for me means the right people, the right circle, the trusted people who know about me and my autism, the people who understand it, they accept me for who I am regardless of my autism diagnosis. I think also it needs to be people that you feel comfortable and safe with. I will stress that at the very beginning now. Please make sure if you are with people that you are safe with them, you trust them, that they're not going to hurt you or make you feel uncomfortable or anything like that, because I think a lot of disabled people trust people too easily and we often get stabbed in the back. So I think this can be a disadvantage for us, but for me, I'm very, very lucky. Over the last 12, 13 years, I've had people who have really stood up for me, stood by me, stood with me, spoke up for me, and I'm lucky that Andy has been that rock for me and is that rock for me and has really opened his eyes to autism, has really learnt about me and how I work, how my brain works. And, he's very open and accepting about it. He accepts me regardless of my autism. He just sees me as his gem. He sees me as his little gem, and that's it, which is great, which is fine, because I love that about him. I love the fact he's very open. He's very aware about who I am, what I'm fighting for, what I'm trying to live with, how I'm coping and dealing with it. And I think once you get into a trusted circle like that, it can help you. But for a lot of autistic people, that can cause really a lot of anxiety-provoking issues. It can cause a lot of sensory overwhelm issues. And, friendships, again, this is part of it, can be really traumatic for some people, but I'm very, very lucky in the last 12, 13 years that I've been able to build up that trust with him and his wife Nikki and the Elvis community in general. I've been able to find myself being safe, being trusted, being supported, being accepted, being guided, being loved, being compassionate on, being involved, being, included in the Elvis Day outings that we have, being included in the Elvis gigs that I go to in the evenings on the weekends. And I think having the right people and the right support at the right time is essential for a lot of autistic people and neurodivergent and disabled people. I think this is a topic that many people try to kind of undermine and put under the carpet. We shouldn't touch that. And I'm like, why not? I think sometimes we're scared to go over the status quo, and we shouldn't be. And I think for me, I'm very outspoken, as a lot of you know. I speak facts, I speak my truth, I speak my opinion, and it was something that got raised today when I was out with Annie, and I'm really glad he raised this issue because it's something that doesn't really get discussed or touched upon. I think for me, I am somebody who will advocate for me, advocate for other people who may not be able to speak up or defend themselves. And I think having the right support can be your family, can be your immediate friends, it can be some online social media people, but again, it has to be people that you've known for a while, to be comfortable with, to be safe with. Again, I will stress that because everyone needs to be safe when communicating online or in person or on the phone or on emails. We need to make sure we're safe. And I think for me, my safety is Andy, my safety is a lot of people who are around me, my best friend, my parents, my sister, my nephew, people who are in my immediate circle who know about me, my autism diagnosis, my aunt, my dad, people who have known me growing up and being involved in my life lately as well. And I think this is something that I've not really recognised until when Andy mentioned it. I'm like, it kind of took me back a little bit, because I'm like, wow, okay. And it also made me realise how far I've come in the 12, 13 years since being diagnosed. I've gone through quite a traumatic rollercoaster ride, and I think I've not really given myself enough credit about how I've acted, the way I've acted, the way that I've come across to people, the way that I've had to accept my autism and use it as a gift, use it as a blessing, use it as something to advocate for, use it as something to fight for, use it as a way to educate the world, the local community that I work with, the mental health community, the psychology community, the autistic community, the disability community, the Elvis community. I'm stretched along a lot along communities. A lot of my support from BBC Radio Suffolk as well. So again, having them support networks, having my best friend and stuff as well. My best friend is another rock that comes to me. She's another person that supports me, understands me, accepts me, tries to protect me, tries to help me, tries her best to successfully communicate to me. Sometimes I know I'm a bit difficult to work around and to talk to and to interact with. I know I'm not the most straightforward person. I know that my eye contact gives it a bit of a difficult issue. I know my body language says completely different things a lot of the time. I know I'm very up down with my speech. Again, that is part of my autism, and I think this is something that I've been working on for quite some time, and I'm really proud of how far I've come dealing with that. I've learned to slow down my speech. I've learned to look people in the eye more. I've learned to give people more time to talk. I've learned to be quiet and pause myself. I've learned to go out and be more socially appropriate. I've learned to speak to other people. I've learned to dance with other people. I've learned to go out and crowded pubs without having too much overstimulation and meltdowns. I think that proves that I've been able to adapt and be safe in the right support, the right area, at the right time by the right people, because again, I know them people. I know they're going to protect me, they love me, they support me, they understand me, they know that my autism sometimes can kick my backside without me even knowing it. And I think because I know that I have different people that I can go, hey, I need a bit of help. Hey, I don't really understand. Can you clarify that? Hey, I'm a bit confused. Can you explain that? Hey, I don't really understand what you're trying to say to me. Can you rephrase that? So again, it's about just getting people to adjust what they're saying to you and how they say it to you to get used to it. And I think today Annie hit that nail on the head with me, and I'm like, wow, I'm so lucky I have them friends, that family, that community. I'm so lucky I have my social support network around me, because they are the people that have my back. They are the people that know about my autism. They're very protective of me. They know sometimes I will struggle with anxiety issues, noises, crowds, people touching me, people being near me, people's voices. Like sometimes people shout, or like today when we were at the pub earlier, there was a child that was screaming, and oh my god, I had to sit there and literally go like that for like a few seconds because the scream was so high pitched. And he was like, okay. So I was like, yeah, that's one of the autism things, because literally the scream was so loud. He's like, are you okay, Jem? Do I need to help you? I'm like, no. Just give me a few seconds, I'm fine. Once that noise goes away, I'll be fine. But he literally noticed me going like that, and I literally had to sit there like this with one hand in my ear because it was so physically loud for me, and I couldn't hear what he was saying to me over the noise. But he had the initiative to go, is everything okay? Are you okay? So he knew to ask that, even though he knew that I was temporarily having that little blip of going, and little things like that will help me, because it helps me to communicate better. It helps me to say yes or no. It's a closed question. So he's like, are you okay? It's one question, straight answer. And like talking about my autism diagnosis and coming to terms with it, and he was asking me about like how do I feel, and and I said to him about how I feel supported by the Elvis community, and how I feel special, and how I've learnt to not be as overstimulated and anxious and depressive. And I'm really proud of myself, because it's something that I've really, really taken to heart today. And I think having that right support, the right people, the right time, the right space, people who encourage me, like Annie always encourages me, and also like my best friend as well. Again, I do have to give my best friend a big shout out as well. She does her best for me, and she supports my Elvis fashion, she supports my Elvis jewellery, she supports my autism campaigning, my radio campaigning, my online social media activity, and I support her. She has her own issues, and I support her the best that I can in the way that I know how to. And I think, again, that's been 12-13 years of changes and preparation and teaching myself, educating myself, and learning to be the best friend that I can be, and learning to be the best friend and family to Andy, and supporting him and encouraging him. And I'm really proud of what I learned today about myself. I've learned about things that used to really trigger me, and now I've got to a point where I'm not triggered, and I've got to a point where I've really developed myself as a person, my self-esteem, my confidence. And that's because I've had the right people fighting my corner, fighting my back, making sure that I'm okay, making sure that I'm safe, making sure that I'm able to enjoy myself, making sure that I'm at that I don't put myself in harm's way necessarily. And Andy's always like making sure I get a taxi home. He checks on me to make sure that I'm able to get there and back, and he'll send me his posters to let me know where he's at. So again, that lowers my anxiety and the sensory overwhelm. So yeah, I want to talk about this topic because I think it's something that doesn't really get discussed. I think it should be. I think I'm really glad that Andy raised it with me today when we're out, because it's given me a new perspective on certain things that I need to think about. But please like, comment, share and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.